Okay, we're live on Facebook. Brilliant. I will have a little look. I always start with a little look in case the technology has let us down. So I'll go and have a little butcher's and see if I can find us all our beautiful smiling faces. Everyone's dying to see us. So still can't see if we're there. Anyone see us?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
There's such a delay on Facebook Live, isn't there?
Yeah, there's such a delay that you don't even know. Oh yeah, look, I can see us all. Got 14 people already listening to us. Dearie me. Okay. Hi. Okay, right. This is the last one of these Facebook Lives. Today we're doing questions. And we're going to start off with this simple question, or even two simple questions, actually. Why ask questions? What do they do? Susie, if you'd like to kick us off, please.
Okay, well, asking questions, hopefully in a coaching situation, should be about raising self-awareness for the person that you're asking the question to. And that needs to be done in a non-judgmental way. You're asking questions for the right reasons. It's not about because somebody's made a mistake and you want to realize the mistake that they've made. It's believing that the person has the answers within themselves. And so it's asking questions, certain questions, to get them thinking about themselves. What do they want and what's right for them?
Thank you. James, what's your thinking?
My thinking, well, questions identify areas we can work on. Also, it allows you to explore the pupil's reality, where they are at that moment, and look for areas that they may need to develop. It allows the pupil to explore options when looking at goal setting. And it also encourages reflection, self-awareness, as Susie said. Yep.
Cool. Okay, Fiona.
Same question, is it?
Same questions. Why? We stick off with why and what do they do?
I wrote a bit of a list. Is that right?
I don't like. Hey, lists are good. Yeah. Did you prioritise your list or did you blurb your list?
I blurbed my list.
Okay, cool.
I'm winging it as usual. As usual. Right, my blurby winging it list is it gets people to talk. I mean, that's the best thing, isn't it? It gets people talking, first of all. Most notably, our pupil or our standards check person, whoever we've got in the car, we get all the info we need. And also they get all the info they need. So it shows interest, which I think is really crucial. Showing interest, all of that rapport thing. Facilitates learning. There's one of those words you can fall over. It facilitates learning, gets people to think out loud. So asking a good question. When you ask a really good question, I do love it when people go, and then they've got to start thinking out loud, but it's really getting them to reflect on things. Develops critical thinking skills. It inspires and instills confidence. We understand people better. When you ask a good question, you do begin to understand people better and they understand themselves better. So really good questions and the follow-on questions, you really get people to understand themselves better. It's a really good reflection aid. It's solution focused, which these two guys were talking about, not focusing on false. It's all about the solutions. They tend to remember. If you ask somebody a question about something, they tend to remember the answer rather than that spiel. How many times have I told you to look in your mirrors, kind of. So reduces doubts, which I really like. Can really get some good questions going and really reduce doubt. Emphasizes trust and rapport. It saves time.
Yes. Yeah, I like that one. I like that one a lot. Actually, being a lazy so and so, I like that one a lot. I think that's why I like asking questions.
Yeah, me too. It challenges prejudices. And I can give details of all of these things. Clarifies direction.
I'm glad you said that it will give details of all of those things, because I might be asking, how we get, let's give some detail to this. Questions, there was loads of different reasons there we asked questions. So let's start with solution focused. Why are we asking solution focused? What does it mean, solution focused questions? Susie.
I think it again goes back to what I said before. It's about believing that the person has their own solution and not enforcing what you think would be a good solution on them. So it's helping somebody in a bigger way than that, because it's teaching them to think. It's teaching them to problem solve. It's giving them tools to help them after they've gone away from you and after they've passed the test. So it's ongoing, it's developing, it's not a quick fix. It's teaching people skills other than actually what's happening right now in this moment. Was that the answer to the question?
No, I think I think the answer to the question is huge. I mean, James, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, it helps. It helps to find their strengths and weaknesses, or strengths and developments more so, to focus on a solution, to develop further in whatever it is they're doing.
Okay, I can't wait for this. Yeah, sorry, I'll come to you second, Fiona. It grows options. Oh, that's so bad. Yeah. But if you're aware of the grow model, there's a lovely bit in the middle of it, which is about options. Fiona, sorry if I might have stole anyone's thunder there.
No. I've forgotten the question. I'm sorry. I
Well,
just listened to the answers and I forget what the question was. I'm sorry.
It's about solution focus. That's what we were discovering. We were sort of talking about first of all, really.
I think that's it, especially when we really target the questions. It really can get people to stop retrospective thinking and that future focus, because solutions are all based in the future, aren't they?
Yeah.
Where the fault focus approach is all based on, well, you did that wrong. So and when you ask a really good question about what James was saying, and Susie, but I remember James specifically saying the solution, as in what can you do differently next time, kind of.
Because I think that's that, because it's critical, isn't it? It's critical thinking, because when they go to drive this vehicle on their own, for argument's sake, they've got to be able to problem solve. And if we're asking questions, we're actually asking them to problem solve and to think. And it's a real key part. And it's not, and those questions are questions that they can internalize. So let's go a bit further, because it creates awareness asking questions, but who does it create awareness in? Does anyone can answer that?
Who does it
create awareness in? When we ask questions, it creates awareness, but who? Who is it creating awareness of?
I would say both the person asking the questions, and with effective listening, through finding out how it's affected the person receiving the listener.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think I agree. Absolutely. I mean, the questions create awareness in the person asking the questions, and then it creates awareness in the person who's answering the questions. And I think, Fiona, when you were reading out from your blurb, I want you to enhance and embroider, because I think you were touching on the communication process somewhere in there. I don't know if you can dig it out. What from
communication, the rapport bit.
Yeah.
The trust and rapport. Was it that one?
Well, any of them, because it is that purpose, isn't it?
It's showing interest. When you ask a good question, it starts off by showing interest. Actually interested in the person.
What sort of, when we say we're interested in a person, what sort of questions, what are they targeting when we're asking questions that are showing interest in the person?
Ooh. Oh, you asking me?
I'm asking anyone who wants to answer. Susie.
You're targeting how they're feeling and what their thoughts are.
Yeah.
And just on its own, we're not very used to people taking an interest in us and asking us how we're feeling and what we're thinking about something. So when somebody does, that is a good way of setting off with the right feeling to begin with. Yeah,
absolutely. Because we can ask those questions that are factual, what do the rules mean on zigzag lines around a pedestrian crossing, but it's a factual question. It's not anything to do with the person, and the person, anybody can give an answer or look it up in the highway code or whatever. But I think, we're not talking really about those sort of questions, this evening. Those questions are easy peasy, lemon squeezy questions that anybody can ask, and they're just about, facts. I suppose really, I use questions in overcoming. Now I say pits and pets. Okay, so overcoming pits, performance interfering thoughts, and encouraging pets, performance enhancing thoughts. Just how I remember, get out your pit and get a pet. But why is it so important that we ask questions? Because I can tell you how to behave. Yeah. Why is it important that we ask questions around performance interfering thoughts? Fiona.
I mean, because there's a really good, where you're going to ask a question about a performance. So you've got those kind of prejudices, but you've got internal prejudices and external prejudices. So somebody who says to you, I always mess up that roundabout, or people always fail on that roundabout. So the performance is going to be affected by those interfering or enhancing thoughts. And so the interfering ones are either what other people say or what people feel about themselves. Is that what you meant?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's about challenging those thoughts. Are they true?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that fact?
Yeah.
And so yes, absolutely. That's the purpose of answering questions. How does questions? What sort of questioning technique do we use to promote reflection?
Do you mean like as in
open questions?
Yeah. Okay. So what sort of questions would we do to promote reflection? Maybe at the end of a lesson, shall we say, just to make it easy.
What sort of thing?
What sort of questions would you use at the end of a lesson?
How do you feel?
How do you feel?
How do you feel that went?
Yeah.
Could you reflect on your performance on the lesson?
Yeah.
What did you like best?
What did you like best? Yeah.
What did you do well?
What did you do well? Yeah. What other? There's also a methodology, isn't there, that we use in creating thinking reflection. If someone's done a task or done a performance, what might we do to measure that?
Scaling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scaling.
Okay. Yes. Scaling. So, what system do we go through in our scaling that is all questioning?
The SEDS.
Yeah, the SEDS. So yeah, that's what is that? So we scale them, and then what are we looking at?
Evidence.
that's where we're challenging them performance interfering thoughts, isn't it? Really, let's create some evidence around it. Is this factual? Yeah, what you've just said, or is it just the way that you feel? Okay, so then we look at what's the next sort of questions?
Development question.
Yeah. So what sort of questions would they be?
What could you do to make that score higher?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Are you happy with your score?
Yeah. So it's nice and simple, isn't it? You know, what support can I offer you? Because that's just the question. Yeah. Shut up for a change is usually the answer. And then of course, what does success look like, feel like, sound like, smell like, taste like to you? And we you know, I also think that, you know, when it says smell and taste, but the sweet smell of success. We use those languages, don't we?
We do.
What sort of different types of questions do we ask?
Well, we ask open, closed,
Fiona, go on.
leading questions,
Okay.
embedded questions.
Fiona, you were going to say.
Oh no, I was just going to say exactly what James said.
Okay, so if we look at those questions, open questions, leading questions, closed questions, what's the purpose of those questions when we're asking them? Because they all have different purposes.
Yeah. Well, the open is to address the thoughts and feelings. Closed could be to invite a yes or no if we need to check on understanding or awareness of something. And then leading could be a question that leads to a point or leads to an action.
Absolutely, yeah. No, yeah. I mean, closed questions as well. Factual questions tend to be closed. You know, can you tell me the rules? Is a factual, is a closed question, because there is only certain answers that can be given. Yeah, open questions. Now, when we're looking at those open type questions, we can start to put them into different areas, can't we? So, what sort of areas can we put open questions into? Have you got any ideas there?
Can you clarify the question?
Okay, so, well, we have goal-focused questions, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. Reality-focused questions, options, way forward. Yeah. So those sort of questions, how do you use them when you're involved with your clients? Because we are leading, we do have an agenda.
Yeah. So when we're looking for constructing a conversation to identify a goal, using open questions when we're looking to review practice, maybe to review where they are now at this moment and where they're going to take it further. Is that the type of?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Susie.
I think, like James said, I think it's about helping us to structure a conversation. So particularly if we're not as confident yet, or if we're new to coaching or that sort of thing, it can help us to structure a conversation around setting the goal for somebody, and help us to ask the right questions.
Yeah, absolutely. How would you say to someone, because I know people struggle sometimes, how would you say to someone, Fiona, I'm going to ask you this question, so you can hate me later. Yeah. How would you say to someone to help them develop questioning techniques? What would you say to them?
Really listen to the answers. But you could use the formula. Is that what you're getting at, Graham?
Well, I'm not getting at anything, actually. I'm just asking for your opinion.
Yeah, I think that's where we need to be very reflective on ourselves. You know, how good is the question we ask? We can't know how good we are at asking questions unless we really look at the ones we've asked and the effectiveness of them. So a really good one is to video yourself.
Oh, yes. Yes. Well, what are we doing now, Susie?
I think sometimes, again, people ask for a list of questions. Can you just give me a list of questions that I can ask? And I can understand that. I've been there, but it doesn't really work, because you can only do it if you listen, like Fiona said, to what the person actually said. And a question needs to be genuine and open, non-judgmental, and all those sorts of things. If you've got a pre-written list of questions in your head, it's going to make the conversation stilted. It has to be it has to be a way of being. That's how you are, and then the questions will come naturally.
Okay, James, you want to?
Yeah, I think also you could create a question bank while you're developing the use of questioning, to give you something to work with. So forming lists.
I think so. I think stealing other people's lists doesn't work.
No.
So if you get a bank of 200 questions off of somebody else, they don't work. I think, though, if you wrote a question, so let me just conjure up. What makes you feel most frustrated when driving? So you can start, that's my first question. If I answered that myself, then I can write down the next question for my own answer.
Mm-hmm.
That's a way of developing a question bank. Susie?
And I think also, like, basically, like you're saying, I think start simple. What went well? How do you feel? How did you feel about that? If you start simple, yes, Fiona?
No. If you start simple, no, I was just letting Graham know.
That's all I was going to say, really. To start simple.
Yeah. No, I like start simple. Fiona, I'll go to Fiona and then back to James.
I think it's just because we're on the asking of the questions, and it's something that's very personal to me, but I am not a fan of the why question.
Okay, tell me a little bit. Tell me a little bit more.
If I say to you, Graham, why did you wear that T-shirt today?
Makes me look slim. Because I'm a fat bastard. Yeah, no, now I'm feeling awful.
Ask a different question. I could have said, what are the reasons you chose that T-shirt this morning, Graham?
Well, because it's clean. So that was one of the reasons I chose it. Yeah.
Anything else?
It was on top of the pile. It was on. Open the drawer. It was the top one. That'll do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Is there a difference in how you felt with the two questions?
No, absolutely. Because I mean, I think why questions in motivational interviewing, why questions are useful, but you really have to have a real strong rapport with that person before you start asking why questions. Because why questions? Why are you late? Yeah. Why are you doing that? It can become accusational. So yes. Try
asking it without frowning.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I know I can't ask that question now. I'm moving on because I was going to ask something which is wrong. So next question, James. Do you want to add anything to that?
To the why question?
Yeah.
Yeah. Choosing the right moments to use the why, as you just said. Really, For example, it could be, why do we need to do this? That's not sort of attacking or making judgments. So it's choosing the right time and trying to use the what word instead of the why, as Fiona was saying. So, yeah, that's
right. I'm very conscious of time. And Susie, would you like to just sum up your thinking about the use of questions? And you can repeat yourself. It's absolutely fine to do that.
I think it's something that it does take a bit of practice and you've got to stick at it. But I think, like I say, if you start simple and you ask questions for the right reasons, which is not fault finding.
Mhm.
Yeah. And when I was just listening to that then about the why, I think traditionally we're used to people asking us why for something we did wrong, you know, like your mum, why did you leave that there? Why didn't you do that when I asked you to? And why just evokes something in us. But I think you'll start to feel it yourself. So through reflection at the end of your lesson, think back the reaction that you got from the person that you asked the question to.
Absolutely. Okay. James, would you like to have your final say?
Yeah, I would. Now, to summarise that, it reminds me of a quote. The quote, "Tell me and I forget, teach me, I remember, involve me and I learn, ask more questions."
Yeah, like it. Fiona.
One of the most useful questions I've found, this is out of context, but I think you'll know what I mean. You know, when you're trying to have that uncomfortable conversation with somebody you can't ask the right questions to, you can say something like, if you were me, what question would you ask me?
Yeah,
And
you can use
the whole thing around, and I think you can use questions, but you can use them to ask. They're just so much fun to play with.
Yeah, questions, I mean, you just use them to reframe, which is great. I mean, questions, if you think about most of the coaching models, they all evolve around questioning. Yeah, because it's all about, questions are all about helping people to self-reflect, to give themselves internal feedback, not only to give us feedback, but it's really for their internal feedback. And the whole purpose and the whole outcome of learning, of questions, is so that people learn. They learn for themselves. And the key, and I want to finish with this, the key to all questioning is the ability to listen, because we have two of them and one of them. And oops, no, that's right. That was okay. That was the okay finger. That was a wagging finger. And so on that mark, yeah, I'm going to finish. We can wave goodbye to our audience, and I'll finish the Facebook Live. Thank you all so much for helping me out.
Bye. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks for having me.